affidavit and complaint of the injured and aggrieved party. And if it's civil, you better produce the damn contract I entered into. Well, it's direct contempt. I don't accept your offer to contract. Fuck off. Try again. Okay, well, we'll waive that mental health evaluation. Yeah, as long as the quid pro quo is in order and you're coming with me, motherfuckers. You don't have an MD in front of your name. So if you think I'm crazy, we're all fucking crazy. Let's all go to the nut house, you know? And so I learned about the quid pro quo from one of my first mentors, and I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. You know, anything you want, I want, and we're going to have a contractual agreement and stuff. And so, my first mentor told me, Derek, as soon as you figure this out and you calm down a little bit, you are going to have a fucking blast, buddy. You are going to have a field day. And prior to that, I'd almost blown my own head off about four different occasions. I was just destroyed. I was still stuck in the illusion of the American dream and building an empire for my family and, being pretty conceited and goal oriented and driven just for my family. And I felt like it was all being unrighteously ripped from me by people who don't know me. And so I was telling them, you guys better read my fucking police reports. I've given everybody due notice before I put their dick in the dirt. And I'm telling you guys, keep fucking with me and your dick's going in the dirt. And they're like, are you threatening public?
Recording in
Up again.
progress.
And why are you down there recording these people again? And I was like, she lied to me. He's like, so what? I offered to help you, and then I'm gonna put my life on the line and my family and everybody else. And I ask you one thing, not to go down there and film them anymore, and I'll show you how it works and I'll help you out. And he says, now I got to walk away from you, man, because you're a liability. I don't want him beating on my door and stuff. And he was legitimately had some concerns there because when you start upsetting the apple cart, these people back then, 15, 16, 18 years ago, they had no problem getting violent, setting a whole
Yeah,
bunch of police officers on you and throwing a dead body in your yard and hauling you
I've
away,
had that. Well,
and
I've had them
planting drugs
surround
on
me.
you. And yeah,
I've had them surround me. One time I like beat a case in Texas, and I was like going through the middle of backwoods, middle of nowhere. I don't know if you know where the Trinity is. I was going through there, like on the highway. I think it was like 77. It's middle of nowhere, so dark, all you can see is your headlights. Out
yep.
of nowhere, I go past, I'm just driving, right, and all of a sudden, I must have passed an intersection or something or some dirt lot where, and then poof, all these lights turn on, and then I see all these cars start trailing in behind me, and they all got their sirens on, and I'm like, holy crap! It was like something out of a movie. Like I don't know how many, it was a lot of cops. Like you never, it was like right out of the movies. You just like a bunch of cops that had no business being in the middle of nowhere. All of a sudden, were lights and sirens and they're on me. And me being, the guy that I am, I'm just like, oh shit, Tony, you finally did it. You finally said too much. You're gonna disappear into a black bag tonight.
Yep.
And
There was
so,
a couple of attorneys that forewarned me about it. They're like, if you don't
yeah,
stop, find the deepest, darkest hole, and they're going to throw you in it. And what you're doing is noble and everything, but we would ask that you reconsider. You have no idea the monstrosity you're up against. And one
right.
who was damn near in his 70s professed that he learned what I know when he was about my age, and I was like, why don't you stand with me then? And he goes, Derek, one, I can't shit where I sleep, and number two, they will take everything from me. And I'm like, at the time, I didn't really understand what he was talking about, but he was worried about his family's life. That these people, they're not playing, and especially back then,
And
you
they'll
know.
get the biggest guys to intimidate you too. When I got pulled out of my car, I they surrounded me with the biggest freaking behemoths
Yeah,
of men I
very
have ever
keen,
seen in
very
my life. I was
you
surrounded by them. Like,
overflowers.
yeah,
Mhm.
they will surround you with shit kickers just to
That's why I
freaking
tell people
intimidate the
don't go into the court, do everything
yeah,
through paper.
yeah.
Like if you see my videos, in fact, not too long ago, I posted some videos and my mentors are like, "What are you doing? Pull those fucking videos down. People are gonna go to jail." I go, "I'm not wrong. It's not about being right or wrong, Derek. It's the fact that people are gonna try and emulate you. They're gonna go in there and they're gonna do 180 days in jail because they're gonna ask them a couple simple questions and figure out that they don't know what they're reciting and they don't know how powerful it is. And the second they call their fucking bluff, they're gonna go to jail for it, and they may lose their houses, their cars, their wives. Like you have to pull those videos down. They're
And
irresponsible.
the way it was explained to me, because I first started coming across this, I was a Fed at one point. I was working for the Forest Service, and I started to come across this knowledge because out in the Shasta Trinity Forest, which is where I was working at the time, I met a retired federal judge, and
Hmm.
I started to learn. He kind of, in essence, became my mentor for the early days of me learning this info. And he was telling me about a lot of this stuff, and yeah, they're pretty serious about the system. And I think originally when I had the kind of like, oh my God, the system's so evil. But you know what he said to me? He said something to me that has stuck with me that was very profound. He said, "Don't feel sorry for everyone else," because like I was like sad about how everyone's enslaved in the state of the world, and he's like, "Don't feel sorry for them." He said, "People get the government that they deserve."
Yeah.
And I I never that didn't really hit with me until I started trying to educate people. And in trying to educate people, I saw not only do people fight being educated, a lot of the ignorant masses, right? You can't make them drink like you said. You can take them to the water, but you can't make them drink. A lot of these people are comfortable in their laziness, in their ignorance and their laziness, and a lot of people just don't want to learn. A lot of people want, and they'll fight anyone who tries to show them that they're ignorant or show
There's a
them
lot
that
of
they're lacking knowledge.
there's
Yeah,
a lot of Agent
you,
Smiths out there. They
yeah,
vote for the
you
very
can lead,
thing that impresses them and bitch about it, and then tell you
you,
you would vote so you don't have a right to bitch, which I think's hilarious. But
you can lead a human to knowledge, but you can't make them think. Derek, did you stop the recording and restart it yet?
not on my end. There's other people that are recording and they're taking care of that. I'm just gonna do one long continuous recording. It'll probably take.
Oh, can I record on my side too, or no?
You should be able to.
I'm recording. It says for me, and this is just how my app work. It says should say down at the bottom record, and it'll say like ask host for permission to record. I did
Oh
that.
yeah,
It said that the host already has it set so that you have permission. So you click that, and then it also gives you the option to pause recording and continue recording.
correct. Yeah, I just sent you I sent the request. Okay, very good. Right, perfect.
So a
Thank you
couple
so
more
much.
minutes here, and we're gonna let well, it's 4:30. We're gonna let Cool Fox take back over. He's ready, and he was talking where we left off. He was talking about democide, and he was pointing out Article 2. And we're gonna let him continue on. And for those of you just joining us, I'm still going through messages and making sure everybody's in and good to go. For those that got it late or didn't get in till later, don't worry. I'm going to be reiterating a lot of this information very, very thoroughly. And then I'm going to break off into case precedent that's never been overturned. I'm going to go through the Department of Motor Vehicle Code. I'm going to show you what's persuasive. I'm going to show you what's controlling. I'm going to show you how it applies. I'm going to go through on how you can effectively press your claim, and more than likely they'll settle outside of court. They don't. It, it's 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 just as uh, Rick stated. They don't want precedent set. I may even divulge and venture into grand juries, how to invalidate them. We're going to go into the Lieber Code. We're going to delve into 40 Statute at Large 411 just a touch, nothing significant. We're going to dive into Title 28. I'm going to show you some things in 1966 that transpired. I'm going to prove to you that you don't have a judiciary, you have administrative venues, which is an emoluments violation. They're all being paid outside the scope of their authority. I'm going to show you that they all have a conflict of interest because they all are subject to Title 26, which proves there is no separation of powers between the legislative, executive, and judicial branch. Because if there was, the judicial branch wouldn't be subjected to taxation, and every last one of them is subject to Title 26, which means there is no separation of powers as far as that is concerned, which means there's always a conflict of interest in Title 28, United States Code 455. I'm
Yep.
going to delve into showing you how they are only have authority over commerce. I'm going to go into territorial jurisdiction and show you how you can properly challenge territorial jurisdiction. The first and most important thing to challenge is venue, then territorial jurisdiction, then subject matter jurisdiction. And the reason you do venue and territorial jurisdiction first is because territorial jurisdiction encompasses in personam jurisdiction. Most of the things that you'll be discovering in territorial jurisdiction actually are synonymous with in personam. So, and then of course, subject matter jurisdiction. So, we're going to teach you about the contracts that you're entering into and how to ask proper questions, how to do FOIAs and things of that nature. There's a lot of information that I want to cover because tomorrow's never promised. So, I'm going to go as long and as hard as I can. And I'm going to explain it in a multitude of ways, all leading to the same foundation and principles. So a lot of people think the Constitution is the Holy Grail, and I'm here to tell you it's not. When you start to study history and you understand how everything is formatted and the law of nations and so on and so forth, people have this preconceived notion that they have a driver's license, that they have a social security card, that they have a birth certificate. I'm here to tell you that you are a incidental beneficiary of those things, but none of those things define who you are, number one. And number two, you don't carry the primary active degree of fault for those things. And I'm going to show you why. We're gonna rip through that. And then I'm also going to show you who you give proper notice to in order to get your plates sent to you. Because remember, if it's the law, they're required to give it to you. You don't have to fill out an application and volunteer to be subject to something. If it's the law, they're required to give it to you. So when I actually show you the law, then you'll be able to say, if they try to rebut and rebuke you or deny you, you'll be able to say it's the law and you're required to give it to me. You can't charge me for what the law requires. Period. End of story. And I'll show you your exemptions where you can go ahead and put on your automobile whatever the hell you want. But it's important to create that binding contract between those entities around as government and bind them. Cool Fox, are you ready, brother? You left off at democide and genocide and Article 2.
And
Yes, I'm
brother,
ready.
and
Yeah,
brother, just a suggestion, brother, and it's probably you know, easier said than done. On the recording, if anyone's specific points are being made, we could always write the time of stamp, timestamp wherever it is that we are, if listening to, pertaining to whatever issue ones may have, and you timestamp it. And when you have the recording, you don't have to go through the recording, although it's going to be quite evident that we'll need to, but at least you'll have the timestamp for whatever issue one wants to deal with. So always have a pencil and paper ready. And that's all I yield.
All right, Cool Fox. I'm gonna let you take the floor, and Brother Joshua, if you would like to start us out with a prayer real quick before Cool Fox gets started, that would be fantastic.
Yuppers. Yep.
Oh, Father, establish the work of our hands and bring it to fulfillment. All of this that one has given us to do in these days, we pray that one would make our way prosperous, that one would make our way purposeful, and that our steps be firm, and that we have good reason and good conscience to do what we need to do. Give us a heart of wisdom to hear one's voice, and make us strong by one's huge favor and grace. And Father, thank you once again for all of the men and women here. We lift them up in prayer, Father. We lift all the speakers up here in prayer. And Father, thank you once again for all you do. Amen. Salah.
And
Thank you, Brother Joshua.
thank you,
Cool
brother.
Box, the floor is yours.
Thank you again. Really appreciate that, Brian. So now we left off at the Genocide Citadel Act. One of the fundamental thing about genocide is not just genocide; it's also torturing for them to do certain things within the operation of their laws. They would like to tell you that they're not binded by these things, but they are indeed binded by these things. This is the convention. You can also invoke it in the principle of the United States Court of Law. They will tell you that you can't, and that's a lie. All right. The first thing you need to know why it's a lie is if the United States signed and ratified any laws and it concerning this is a treaty principle. So now you got to understand what treaties are in order for you see why they are binding to it. So you can use regular dictionaries. So that's why I'm just going to use the internet right now, which I can show you in various other dictionaries, but I'm going to show you that even just the regular lookup, you'd find out what they are. What is a treaty? By itself is a formal conclusion of a ratification agreement between countries. So in other words, once they ratify the treaty, it is binding on them between countries. It doesn't matter. It's also between the nations, and the nation is a nation applied laws. So you're gonna go ahead and say, hey man, United States of America is binded to the international conventions of human rights, and why you can prove that by executive orders as well. Executive orders will be issued, and the order that they issued, they have to implement them in their life. So one of the key parts you need to know is about self-authenticated documentation. Self-authenticated documentation speak for itself by just simply looking at the documentation, and if it's authenticated by the United States. You see right here, you can see it right here. This is a document you can place in their court due to the simple fact that it's authenticated by the United States. I'm saying it's a legitimate document, and the proof is right there for the pudding. One of the key thing about this document, it also give you what it is that it's enacted. It said by the authority invested in the president and by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, and are bearing and binding on the obligation of the United States pursuant to the International Convention of Political Rights, Civil and Political Rights. So that means that they are binded by the obligation to follow whatever international agreements they are. And who's binded by it? It's supposed to be implementing human rights in all of their what? Policies and practice of the government of the United States. It must be within their process and their policies, whenever it is. So any law that they decided to write or anything that they decided to enact, anything that they decided to do, it must be written within their laws in the opposites, in the constructive section to follow the rules and regulation of natural law, human rights, and all of that stuff. It must be established. Why? It's limited governmental power because the governmental one is always the enemy of the people. They're the one that always cause conflict overseas and then bring it here to our nation. They're the one who causing conflict with our nation. They are also the one who also may commit genocide within our territory. They're the one who cause a lot of oppression upon our nations, and we have to make sure we limit their power at all times. And one of the way we limit that power is through delegation of authority. You may never hear this word before, or you may hear the word before. It's called intelligible principle. Intelligible principle, in its core sense, is able to understood and comprehensive. So in other words, they will give you definition, written laws. This would consider an intelligible principle by the Congress or by the president himself. So the authority by the Attorney General or the Governor General or the state officers who write those laws and legislations and the Constitution, all the stuff will be coming directly from Congress, and they will have to follow those rules. Their laws have to follow the same laws as Congress does. In the FEMA concerning the traffic laws, I think it's called FMACA. I think it FMACSA. There it is, came up right here. When the state laws are not in contrast, it and not compatibility with the federal laws, it then therefore can become void because it's not compatible with the federal laws. This is the general rule. One of the general rule, it shows you inside of this principle. Um, I'm gonna try to find it right here. In section E, it said, copy any state law, regulations, standards, or ordinance of safety that's not adopted or amended since the state law last reported, they can all become void. They all have to follow the regulation. If you look right here in section 2, if a state law, regulation, standard, or ordinance safety in less restricting than the FMRCT, the state provision is not compatible, it's not enforceable. It has to go on par to what the federal government issues to them. If they decided to make it over, then you can bring it back to the constitutional principle and the structure of the government. I know I'm going all over the place here, but I promise you it's all in the same perspective. They have to follow the intelligible principle. Intelligible principle are what you're looking at. Regulation from Congress, giving down them through federal regulations. And when they get the federal regulations going down, it then have to follow in the state regulations. So when they get an authenticated document like this, which is supposed to be followed in section 2 here, so it said the responsible executive department and agency, and it said all executive department and agency as defined in this section, to show you that if you look into all of these sections, it's all departments it's talking about. Every single one of them must follow the principle here. This is what they call intelligence principle, give you the instruction that every government must follow in this ordinance. This is the all you comprehend, and this is the type of interpretation there is. That's the interpretation there is. Now, concerning treaties, because that's what I'm here for. I don't want to go too much into what Derrick is doing, but because if I go, I'll go hard like Derrick too. I can stay and talk for hours. Concerning treaties, let's bring up one of the easiest treaty that you guys might have heard about or see. Let's go with Treaty of Peace and Friendship with the Moroccan government. Many of you see they're teasing Moors and calling them Moors, but what they're trying to get is public opinion. Once they get the public opinion, the public won't be able to defend the Moroccan Empire or the people that consider themselves to be Moors, and they will consider them to be fool or anything of the sort. But this treaty is the one that allowed the United States to be here on this land in the first place and let them come here and be operatable. So when they signed this treaty, they agreed permanently. This, how you know what is a self-executing treaty? A self-executing treaty gives you the direction of every single thing that it's actually wanted to do, especially when it's written like this. If either party shall be at war at any nation whatsoever, and take the prize belonging to a nation, and there shall be found on the board subjects or effects belonging to either parties, the subject shall be set at liberty, and effects shall be returned to the owners. And if any other belongings of the nation within whom the parties shall be at war shall be loaded on a vessel belonging to the parties, or the party, and they shall be free to pass unmolested. Now, what it's saying is, the Moors that was actually here, when the war started with whatever country that started the war with, or even if they're fighting against themselves, even if they're doing insurrection or whatever it is, if you take the state, give back the state. If you take the goal of the state, give back the state. That's what self-executing is. I bring this up so you can show you that the Moors, they have authority within the land as well, but it's only being abrogated because of the public. What I'm saying to you is, The reason why many of you are losing in court is because you don't have enough people going into court. So that's why I'm there with Rick Martin, telling you guys the same thing. It's the same construct. You got to get more people to go into court. You got to make the community get on your side to understand the principle of the law, because they are gonna use those little tactics to oppress you. Oh, dear sovereign citizen, yada yada yada. But first, you have to first establish, how do I become a citizen? How do I become your citizen? How do I am your citizen? And that's what many Moroccan was trying to do. Many Moroccan try to get their laws and established, because the commerce clause, they don't have no jurisdiction over their commerce. They cannot come and force the Moroccan into commerce. They must let them pass with free liberty throughout the country and any seaport. They're supposed to have an exemption moving back and forth. They cannot touch their property. They cannot touch anything. Even if they're carrying drugs, bombs, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. They cannot touch them. If they do have any form of dispute, their dispute can't be any state court, and it cannot be any federal court, and it cannot be any just regular court. Where they have to take their jurisdiction, it have to be operated into a consular court. If it's so what I'm showing you is these people don't even mind taking away self-executing treaties and hide it if the people are not does not have knowledge. So it's important that you guys always try to take notes, no matter where you get it from, and even if it does not seem true, it does not seem right, or it seems fabricated, investigate it. Investigate it. So even if you think what I'm saying is bullshit right now, investigate it. Because why? Now you get an understanding and say this part is bullshit, so you don't want to use that bullshit. But if you investigate it and see that the bullshit, that what I'm saying is bullshit, is actually legitimate, then you want to use the legitimate items. Because they will lie to you. That's the whole entire thing, to lie to you. Right? To hide those factions. Here's why, again, let me show you. Remember when I show you self-authenticated document? Let's look at the self-authenticated document right here. Public law. Public law. When the Moroccan government recognized what the United States was doing after a while, they forced the United States into the international courts, where all international government come together and force them to acknowledge that their operation is being operated in the wrong perspective. And if you look right there at the bottom of it, you see it said right there, it's a self-authenticated document. The United States now lost all authority, and the Moroccan government forced them to have no more jurisdiction or authority. Now, treaty again within the country and in accordance with the usage in such country, and whereas the Council of the United States in Morocco are permitted to exercise jurisdiction over the American nationals. So in other words, the United States get authority because why? Again, remember I told you the United States is set up. There are different nations here, but they're pretending like they're the only one was here and the only one was set up in this and that and the third. Those are just fabricated information. It's not true. Many of the people that are here was different nation, both Indian nation, Confederation, and all of that stuff that was here. All of those states that they're saying that they are obligated, that's a total lie. It's just a map. That's a use of military force and military might, constantly oppressing the people to subject themselves to whatever law they want to enforce in them. Because if it said right here, American national, it's not talking about Morocco over there that established today. It's talking about people that actually here in the territory. Not only that, it also tell you, if you read it down some more, it said the prodigies of American Moroccan people, because Morocco signed treaty with various Indian nations as well, tribes and other people. So anybody that's a prodigy underneath the Moroccan Empire at the time, support them in their abrogation of the United States not having jurisdiction over them at all. So this is another self-executing documentation where you can see the plain directives telling them that they don't have jurisdiction, and they can find it in conclusory with their status and their section in the status where they cannot exercise no authority over these people. But yet, if you look at it today, they have them as mockery, and they will treat them as say they are sovereign citizen. And if you can see it right here, Even so much you can see it now. You can see it now on the internet. Everywhere you look. Right. They can see it everywhere you look. Wikipedia doesn't matter. They would treat them as if they don't exist and all that stuff. No matter where you type it up, they would tell you about these people don't believe them. They believe that they're not subject to any government. But one of the key documents that I found that should show you that the United States is constantly going to use to take away people nationality is the 59th Congress second session, also for Representative document 326, where the United States pretend as if none of these things exist. They pretend as if the people are subject in every single way under their authority at every single time, and anybody who that decide to say otherwise is a lie. And these are legitimate documents. If you can see for yourself, they are legitimate documents. You can find even in, if you want to separate from any nation, even Britain at the time, when they want to decide to separate from Britain, all you have to do, if you read through this document, you see that somewhere about the 300 page, you see it said